It's a privilege and honor. We have Mrs. Revathi Bhasker here. Most of you all would be knowing her. She has been anchoring the online Tambalas for many occasions, and she will continue to do so. Now, to tell about Mrs. Revathi Bhasker, primarily, yes, she is from our retirement community in Coimbatore, the Covai S3 Retirement Community. If I had to talk about her, she is actually an economics graduate from Stella Mills. I come to understand that. And she worked in SBI as well as the MBA department in IIT Roorkee. And I believe it's at the State Bank where she met her best friend and soulmate, Mr. S.K. Bhasker. He's also a commerce graduate and he worked with the SBI. So I've come to also know that they've been sharing a few cup of coffees and dosas, and then they realized that they were made for each other and they settle into a family life. From there, yes, in 2008, post-retirement, they move on to a community in Coimbatore. Initially, this Coimbatore community, we called it Soundaryam Santosham. And her life there has been very active. She has been anchoring a lot of events. She has been the master of ceremonies for many of her functions that we conduct. And it's been a very pleasant time that we have been sharing in the community. All of you all would be aware, before a month, we had an unfortunate situation where we lost Mr. Bhasker. And I should say, Mrs. Revathi ma'am has shown utmost strength and grace in dealing with this biggest loss in her life. While during her conversations, we understand that she's been managing all by herself, and it's interesting to see how she has led life from where it was 2 months back. It will be interesting to also know on her learnings from these 2 months of time post we losing Mr. Bhasker. So I would leave it to her to let us know all that that she has learned from the time that has passed through. Over to you, ma'am. Revathi ma'am.
Good evening, Prajosh. And I think Gayatri and Anu have given all the information to you regarding our getting together and all that. Anyway, lot of spionage is going there, I think. Spies working.
Please, can I say something? Absolutely right.
So, somebody wanted to say something.
Yeah. Yes, please. Who was there? Gayatri, you wanted to say something?
No, I just agreed with you that, yeah, there are a lot of spies to keep an eye on.
And post Bhaskar's demise, both these girls have made so many friends in the colony that even I may not be knowing what I'm doing, but they are updated on it. So that's the kind of support we are getting from the community, all the residents. I'm thankful to each one who is really taking a lot of care. And I thought I would be able to deliver this talk without seeing the paper, but getting emotional, I think I will not be able to do justice. So kindly permit me to read out what I have written. I hope it's okay with all of you. Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, on behalf of my family, I extend our sincere thanks to both Team Covaicare as well as all the residents for having been such a great support during this very sudden demise of Bhasker. It has been very shocking and words cannot adequately convey our gratitude. Right from the time he was admitted, after his passing away, everything has gone with the clockwork precision and with a lot of love and support from all of you. After his demise, I have always been proud of my husband that he has been very meticulous and very, very straightforward in all his accounts and all that. He used to keep a very systematic organized thing of his all his assets, liabilities. As I said, on the day we got married, the next day he gave me a piece of paper that this is what I own and this is what I owe to others. This is what I own and this is what I owe. I said, what is it on the very first day you're giving? No, it should be there so that we should be prepared. Something happens to us, we should not be in a soup. And similarly, he would have noted down about 10 or 15 emergency contact numbers. And when we are going in the train, some accident happens. I said, why do you have to think of the negative? He said, that is not thinking negative. So you have to be prepared. So taking a lesson from him, after his passing away, both my daughters and myself, when we went through the files he has kept in a very meticulous, orderly manner, I think that is some kind of a thing which others should know, and so that it will be helpful. It's not that everything is going to happen tomorrow, but we should be in preparedness, because now we are reached that particular stage where anything can happen to us, and then we should be prepared mentally, physically, in all ways, because we have discharged most of our responsibilities, and if something happens, we should not regret. Of course, the loss is there, the pain is there, grief is there, everything is there, but still we have to be in preparedness. I have faced one or two problems in settling the accounts and all that, so I thought it is a necessary thing for me to share with our friends so that they don't get into that kind of a situation. So, shall I start with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
So, death is not the opposite of life, but a part of it. I think this is a very, very true statement. No? We just, on the face of it, we say, what is the opposite of life? Life, it is death. But it is not so. It is only a part of it. And there are 4 major aspects of dealing with any sudden loss. You can have it in the emotional, financial, logistical, and social aspects. And life is all about crossing bridges. So, the emotions that a grieved person goes through ranges from depression, jealousy, anger, fear, helplessness, grief, guilt, frustration, abandonment, everything. Sudden loss of a life partner brings to the fore a variety of emotions. First and foremost being grief, which can either be visible or bottled up. Grief again manifests into various forms. Guilt first, the survivor trying to reason whether there was any way the death could have been overcome. Was there any stone left unturned? Did we provide the best medical benefits, and so on? Then we have jealousy and anger. These arise as a response to a sense of injustice. The feeling of why we had to experience the loss while many others came through is a very, very normal phenomenon. The protocols regarding treatment of COVID-positive patient prevent the near and dear to visit the patient or comfort him by being by his side, and this truly feels unjust. Maybe we could have worn protective gear and tried to cheer up the patient back to good health, is a question that often arose. At the same time, we realized that if there is a norm, there must be some reason behind it. As people who care for those around us, we should not expose ourselves and spread the virus in the society. The feeling of anger is more pronounced when we feel that despite the earnest pleas and prayers of a number of people, God did not choose to heed any of them. Sadness touches our lives at different times, but never stays forever, whereas depression, in contrast, has enormous depth and stays for long and can leave one continuously burdened, refusing to indulge in normal or pleasurable activities. Anxiety and fear generally arise during grief because of lack of confidence in one's ability to cope with emotions or because of inability to control emotions. The suddenness of the tragedy also sparks the fear. Frustration and helplessness is the reluctance to accept that life has to continue without the loved one. This feeling lasts long because the thoughts of the departed keep coming to us at each and every step. The survivor loses not only a mate, but a long-term partner, an everyday companion, and more often, a caregiver. The feeling of abandonment is also a common phenomenon and takes quite a while to reconcile. The deep sense of loneliness and isolation can take months or even years to overcome. The closer the relationship, the surviving partner is likely to feel more hopeless and lonely. The rude shock brings about a world of change, leaving the survivor numb, shocked, and fearful. If it were not for a retirement community like ours, which is in essence a closely knit extended family, the change could be very painful and the survivor would really be shattered and unable to cope up with the situation. The financial aspect is probably the most stressful aspect of bereavement. More often than not, the person who has passed away was the one who managed the finances of the household. The paperwork related to the financial matters that need to be settled is tedious, mind-boggling, and exasperating. Will is a very important thing, and the importance of making a will can never be overemphasized. A simple will needing no registration, just a couple of witnesses, can be very effective in settling inheritances. Insurance and medical expenses. In the case of medical insurance, if the insurance company has a tie-up facility with the hospital, cashless mediclaim can be availed of. If, however, the hospital is not in the list of cashless network hospitals, payment has to be made upfront and claimed later. While settling the bill, it is essential to insist on obtaining the breakup of each item charged, whether it be relating to pharmacy, medical examinations, professional charges, room rent, bed charges, or diet. The death summary should also be properly signed, and care should be taken to ensure that the name of the deceased is spelled correctly. Slight deviations may cause avoidable delays in the settlement of the claim. With the lockdown not lifted properly and the staff working from home, the insurance companies take their own time processing the claim and are famous for not pointing out all the shortfalls in one go, but they prefer to raise one query after another. Here I must also point out a rare occurrence where LIC of India had called me to say that they came to know of my husband's demise from the government authorities and wanted to know whether I needed assistance in settling any claim if he was a policy holder. I think it's something very admirable, the way they have gone out to help the people on one hand, and when the private companies are just not bothered. I was pleasantly surprised with this telephone and appreciated that gesture. Incidentally, the LIC claim had been processed in record time even before their call, whereas this present claim of Bhaskar's hospitalization is still not reconciled, not settled. Whenever family pension is payable, the survivor needs to inform the pension paying authority of the demise by a letter supported by a death certificate. And indemnity also needs to be filled in and submitted to them along with a life certificate of the claimant for processing so that they can commence the family pension. Bank accounts and lockers, wherever the accounts have been opened with a mandate of either or anyone or survivor, the process is not very difficult. Even if the account was single, if proper renomination had been registered, there should be no difficulty in closing the account. It must, however, be remembered that the nominee cannot claim ownership of the money, because if the legal heir so chooses, and if the legal heir is different from the nominee, this can be contested. The role of the nominee here is similar to that of the executor of a will. So it is always advisable that the details of bank accounts, respective nominations, shares, term deposits, and other investments are recorded separately, and the spouse is aware as to where these can be accessed. I am reminded of that an old picture where the man is dying and he's saying, oh, then the mother and the son, they are saying, note it down, note it down. And then when he was talking about so this thing, there should be transparency in whatever assets and liabilities the spouse had. This is just digressing. But in this age of digital transactions, it is also essential to opt for net banking, more so because as seniors, it is best we stay at home. Here again, it is necessary to check if the option for third-party transfers is also activated. Some banks do not extend this facility unless applied for. In case it is not done, the request needs to be submitted in person at the bank. However, due to pandemic and giving concession to senior citizens, the banks are accepting the payments or the proof of identity along with the original ID card to be submitted to the bank through a representative. Credit cards is one thing which I would like to, like everybody to hear properly. It came as a very rude shock to me to know that the credit card will be blocked on the demise of the primary card holder. Though the add-on card holder may be credit-worthy, on the death of the primary card holder, the card of the add-on card holder is also frozen and all dues against the credit card will have to be paid off within a stipulated time. This was an eye-opener to me because we had been enjoying the credit card for several decades and we have always been using lounge access and all the various perks which come along with the credit card. The worst part was that not only was my card blocked, but I was not eligible to apply for a fresh card as I had crossed the age of 70. This was traumatic and frustrating because no official could be reached on the phone or email to clarify the position. Excuse me. Finally, though I could get through to the nodal officer, I was informed that a fresh card cannot be issued on the grounds of overage. Many of us are not aware that such clauses exist, as we merely sign on the dotted line while accepting the terms of agreement, as it is difficult, if not impossible, to read the minute print. Since credit cards have made life easier, I kept trying with various banks and ultimately succeeded in getting one from ICICI Bank through Amazon Pay. The logistics. As I mentioned earlier, the sincere team, without them we would have been nowhere. Complying with hospital formalities is no mean task. With COVID still rampant, the technicalities in releasing the body from the morgue are very cumbersome. Any delay in obtaining the death report from the hospital would delay the notification to the municipal authorities from where the ultimate clearance for cremation had to be obtained. While going to the hospital to claim the body, 2 photographs of the deceased as well as the Aadhaar card in original and its copy are absolutely essential. So we have to be prepared with all the photographs and all that. Though Colonel himself was quarantined during this period, he arranged with a group Mahapunya to have all the rituals conducted meticulously at Brahmatirtham. It would have been impossible to conduct all these rituals peacefully and satisfactorily otherwise. Death certificate and legal heir certificate are the most important documents that need to be obtained at the earliest because in their absence, no paperwork can be started. While the death certificate can be obtained within a fortnight, the legal heir certificate sometimes takes months. Due to the excellent liaison with the concerned authorities, both of these were made available to me in record time. In certain cases where the inheritance is large and no will has been drawn up, the need for a succession certificate arises, which is not only very expensive but also cumbersome. To avoid this, if a will is drawn up and proper mandates given in the investments, properties, bank accounts, etc., the problems can be simplified. Not everyone experiences grief in the same way. Neither are the stages in grief the same. Some may need time to themselves to get over the sudden shock. Most of us, in our eager to condole or console the bereaved, they try calling the bereaved immediately after receiving the news of death. In my opinion, though we appreciate the care and concern, those wishing to offer condolences or wish to console may first send messages and then call later when the bereaved are somewhat composed and able to take calls. In these COVID times, the reactions of many were, did you get to see the body? Who will be doing the rituals? All these, I think, in my opinion, should be avoided. Though the hospital had been updating the patient's condition through audio and video calls, the bereaved family may wish to take with them, they wish to carry memories of happy moments, and the society should not come in the way. They should respect their sentiments. Another common question posed would be, are you going with your children, or worse still, when are you going to shift to your daughter or to your children's house? Unsolicited advice, others drawing up the course of actions, are all a few things which are very personal, and I feel the society can refrain from being inquisitive. Many a time we come across hasty decisions taken on the spur of the moment to dispose of the house and property and settle elsewhere. Reliving memories of the loved one in each nook and corner rather than shifting out to make compromises. This, of course, does not refer to short holidays. As we were in quarantine for a week, nobody could meet us after the tragedy. Since it was imperative for us to meet our friends and also the other way around, a very simple and sober Pushpanjali was arranged where everyone could offer floral tributes to my husband. The entire memorial service was so peaceful and well attended, and though silent, we could feel and share our emotions and grief with each other in our community. It was one of those precious moments where silence was most eloquent. I wish to profusely thank all our friends and the extended family for showing all their sympathy and support, and also for their lovely and touching obituaries, which have consoled us to a very, very large extent. Life is full of moments, big and small. Some hurt, while some feel great. We need to embrace them all to make us strong. We all die. The goal is not to live forever, but to do or create something which will live forever. The way forward would be to strive for emotional well-being, pursuing our hobbies or take up new ones, relive memorable memories, mingle in the society by not isolating oneself, but by participating and contributing in the activities. Family and friends are always supportive. At the same time, on the financial front, the finances need to be properly planned so that the survivor can continue with the same standard of living. A new will may be drawn up and all assets may be properly documented. A statement detailing where all the documents can be available should also be known to the next of kith and kin. Income tax returns need to be filed, and as per norms, the PAN card of the deceased needs to be surrendered. Title transfer of house, property, and all the relative utility services such as electricity, telephone, all need to be taken care of. Though they are all very mundane things, they still need attention and cannot be postponed indefinitely. In this process, we need to rediscover ourselves and start living as we would want to, rather than how others would expect us to live. Grief is in two parts. The first is loss, and the second is remaking your life. When we start to rediscover ourselves, we may find out our inner strengths, which we have hitherto been unaware of. Life and emotional landscapes have changed enormously, and these changes may even last a lifetime. It is therefore necessary to make peace within ourselves. It is impossible to retrieve yesterday, and tomorrow is fraught with uncertainty. We only have today, and we have to make the best of today which we have. There should be no if only brooding, only if I could have done this or if I could have done that. When there is no chance of it to ever happen, why keep harping on it? We need to celebrate the life of our loved one by honoring the interests and values which they have left behind as their legacy. We were moved by the great response we got from the children of the staff, for whom we had chalked out some competitions in essay writing, poetry and drawing on the theme Radiating Happiness, as Bhasker radiated happiness wherever he went with his wide smile. The entries themselves were a treat. This and the online tombola for the residents were the ways we could think of to commemorate his birthday, for he would have loved to see the happiness generated by these events. The VDM released on his birthday and a short cookery video dedicated to him also seemed apt, as we could imagine how he would have happily reacted to them if he had been among us. All of you can see a big semicolon on this blank screen. What does it have to convey? My presentation has come to an end, but our stories continue. Life goes on, and so must we go with it. We also need to love and respect ourselves, as we are an entity in ourselves, and by embracing life, we can cherish fond memories for all time. Thank you for having spared the time to hear me. I have only tried to present the practical sides of coping with grief, and I am not an expert at the technicalities of the various aspects touched upon. I felt I had to share some of my experiences so that others could benefit from them. I hope I have been successful in reaching out. Thanks once again.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you very much. It's very inspiring to hear you, the absolute strength which you're sharing with all of us. It's for us to imbibe and probably put it in place when the time is, when it's necessary. The forum is open. Anybody of you want to exchange any thoughts? I mean, we can have another 5 minutes, or if you wish.
That what I have seen of Mrs. Revathi Bhasker and the two daughters, and the final moments was, I would say, the 17 most difficult days of your life. But the way that you held to each other and expressed your emotions and put it to yourself till the last day, last moment. I think it was remarkable, ma'am. I think Mr. Bhasker was a remarkable man. The way that you were so meticulous. I don't think most of us are. And today your presentation would have woken up many of us to say that what we need to do and prepare for our final journey. And thank you very much, ma'am. But I want to tell you that as far as we are concerned, we are there for anything that you and your family need. And take it from me that you will always be an integral part of this place and we will not let you go. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have another 2 minutes for anybody else want to share a few words?
Can I share, Mr. Jose?
Yes, sir, please.
Thank you, Madam Revathi Bhasker. It was a great learning for us in the profession. Definitely, I will take the words of you to advise my clients to keep how well organized you have to be. Otherwise, it will be really a big. I usually normally say, if a person leaves 10 lakh asset without a liability, it is more than enough to leave a 10 crore asset with 25 lakh liability. It is not of any use to the family, but a 10 lakh asset with a nil liability is so useful to the family. In that manner, systems has to be in place to see that the next generation enjoys it. Otherwise, it's no use giving or passing on anything. I think both of you have combinedly or jointly created a system so that maybe it's both of you complemented each other in this process, definitely. So definitely it's a great thing. One point which I came across recently, I thought I will share here. Two things. One, madam, I think we were talking about the health insurance delay. Now it's my duty to just through Prajosh, I'll get the details. and I'll see that I'll get it organized and sorted out as early as possible. I think your claim was not true that community policy standalone is there. I will take it up and I'll just collect all the details and I'll see that it is handled. That's my assurance. Point number 2, from your in-depth information which you have shared about nomination and everything, one of my advocate friends shared me one important suggestion. If people have multiple assets, that is 3 or 4 or 2, more than 1 or 2 assets, land or building in their name or flat in their name, he suggested that to prepare individual will for individual land and building. So tomorrow, if you sell that land or building, you can just hand over the will along with the other documents to the buyer, so that it will go on along with it. So you need not share all your properties or immovable properties with everybody who buys your land or building. So that was one suggestion. So here while preparing the will, since you have so specifically told to start and go have a will in place, it's a very good advice. You can think about preparing individual wills for individual land and buildings or flat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's a good piece of information. Anybody else?
I actually am very happy to be here. I'm enjoying the support of both Covaicare on one hand and the vast extended family. Thanks a million to all of you. And I hope I'll continue to enjoy your love and support always.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll also enjoy your company. And definitely we have a lot of these theoretical guides which we've been circulating. I think I would discuss more with madam and make a more practical one, and we will keep it ready for anybody who wants to make use of it. Okay, with that,
1 minute. By the way, this was not a very, I'm not an expert in this subject. It's just a practical information which I thought it should be shared.
That was very, very useful, Mrs. Revathi.
Thank you.
It was an eye-opener for me because I, more or less, am alone. You can see my husband. So that was an eye-opener, yes. Thank you so much.
And Revathi, you spoke from your heart and mind, and it appealed to our hearts and mind. So I have noted down some of the points which I think may be relevant. So it was not only, consoling us in many ways, but it also, show us the way forward. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Revathi Subrain here. Just to thank you for what you have done, like what the others said. But also I appreciate your thinking of others, even during this time of such grief and sorrow. It's really remarkable and shows the quality of the person that you are. And we are very, very touched to have you as a friend here in this community. God bless.
May I say something? Thank you, ma'am. It was really wonderful, and so well thought out, so well presented, very, very comprehensive. I just thought I'll mention to, the community that the laws are different in different states as far as this succession certificate is concerned. In Karnataka, there is no legal heirship certificate that they issue, except to government servants. They only give something called a surviving member certificate in the urban areas like Bangalore urban, Mysore urban. It's called a surviving member certificate. In the other place, it's called a family tree certificate. And unfortunately, we are supposed to be one country. See, for example, my mother passed away last year. Now, her surviving member certificate is not taken as a legal heirship certificate in Kerala, where we have a joint property. It's a very unfortunate thing, but I just thought I'd share it with other people who are
communities outside of Tamil Nadu where legal heirship certificates are issued. It's a cumbersome process in terms of probate, etc., but it is done.
Continuing with that, I am told that one of our friends had got a heirship certificate from Karnataka. It was only in Kannada. It was not even bilingual. So they faced trouble in other states. So wherever possible, kindly ensure that it is bilingual.
Also, I think that information about the credit card is very, very useful. I mean, because we also have, my wife has an add-on card, and I think it's high time that we, have separate credit cards. Thank you very much for that.